My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubow. And have you ever wondered how someone juggles a demanding corporate job, successful real estate ventures, and nonprofit work? Today, my guest, Erika Wald from Illumination Properties. She's here to share her secrets on scaling real estate, mastering deal underwriting, and balancing it all. Erika, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
So that doesn't leave it sounds like it doesn't leave a lot of time for other things. How do you manage it all? How do you juggle it?
It's really about setting your priorities. Last year, honestly, it was getting a bit tough for me to try and juggle all of it, and I was burning out. So from the business side of the real estate, what I did is I sat down with my business partner and we put together what are our outcomes for 2024 as we're going into this, so that we can maintain focus on what's most important to the business and what is going to drive our profits. So that helps us narrow the scope and stop the sparkly object syndrome that you can tend to get in this space, because there's a lot of ways to make money in real estate.
Yeah, and every week a new reel on something that appears new, but is essentially recycled strategies from maybe the 80s or the 90s, and now it's new again. So do you use any sort of like scheduling? Do you use any calendars? Do you have any like tips for people who might be feeling that way?
Yeah. Outlook or Google Calendar is my friend, either one. I use that. And then I'm old fashioned. I have a planner. It's on my desk. I look at it as the week starts. I put in my schedule and remind myself what I have going on, who I need to meet with, what are the important conversations, and how do I handle them well.
Yeah. So let's go right back to the beginning here and, tell me a little bit more about your backstory. What got you into real estate investing in the first place?
Yeah, it started in my mid 20s. I was dating somebody that was a construction worker.
Mm-hmm.
And so to date him, I had to go to a lot of job sites.
Sit in
And
the truck. Yeah.
because let's face it, when you're a contractor and you're young in your 20s, you're always working and trying to do the side hustles.
Mm-hmm.
So that relationship taught me how to do things like I learned how to do professional finish work on trim. We remodeled 100-year-old basements in St. Paul, Minnesota. I
Mm-hmm.
learned how to become a professional painter, and it really excited me to see turning the old into the new and refreshing a property and bringing it back to where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So I got hooked right then and there.
Yeah. The renovation, it's like weird how it's like starts and it's really exciting because you knock out all the like maybe the walls and you rip out the cabinets, all the floors, everything goes. Then there's like this valley of like, is it done yet? And then right at the end, the trim goes on over the
Yeah.
flooring, like the flooring, the trim, the cabinets, the lighting fixtures, everything in the last like 10 or 14 days. But then the valley of the middle where it's like, wasn't I just in here? Wasn't this roughed yesterday? Wasn't this the same as it was? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it
definitely
tends
the
to,
transformation, right?
it's a transformation, and you're right. And that valley can seem long and wide for a while you're on the project, and it's always costing more than you think it's going to be and takes longer than you expect it to.
Well, especially if the guys don't show up. If you're hiring a crew and they're not there, that's not
Yeah.
ideal. So what do you like most about your current real estate strategy and what would that be?
Yeah, currently, the focus for 2024 is so I have a business partner. We run Illumination Properties together, and he is a transaction coordinator.
Hmm.
And what that means is he is making sure that the deals get over the line. So it's anywhere after the deal has been signed and is under contract to making sure it goes through closing and title with no issues. And that business is really taking off. So I'm getting educated myself on how to support him in the back end and make those transactions happen. And then for me, I've always been fascinated with this multifamily space. Since joining this real estate mentorship that I've been part of for the last year and a half, underwriting has come natural to me to look at a deal, to tell where the deal is, to identify where the value add is. So that to me
Mhm.
is exciting, is looking for those properties, finding the value add and how to make it profitable.
Yeah, definitely sometimes it's adding a bedroom, sometimes it's losing a bedroom,
Correct.
finding the comparable, the max comparable and trying to match it as closely as possible. So maybe what isn't so great about the current strategy? What's the challenge in the business today?
Yeah, so our current challenge right now is we're scaling.
Hmm.
And especially on the transaction coordination side, we're getting a lot of clients that are coming in and it's I have to close in 2 days. Doesn't give a lot of time, so we're a little bit playing with that mercy of the people that we're doing business with, which is fine. We understand this is real estate and things happen.
Hmm.
And then with multifamily for me, as I've taken down single family in the past, multifamily is more of a long game. So it's learning how to write the deals, how to present the pro forma, how to work with the brokers has been something that I've been learning over the past 6 months.
Yeah, the underwriting,
Yeah.
the underwriting of the whole thing.
But it'd be even more than that. I'd even say more than just the underwriting. The underwriting of the deal is simple, but it's how do you present it to investors and make them see your vision. So it's being able to put that into a graphic and design that makes them understand where the value adds are and so they can buy into the project.
So what you mean when you're raising capital, the
Mhm.
pitch deck
The
for the
pitch
deal?
deck. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about um I guess you've been in it for a while, you've
Mhm.
been around the business, in the business of fixing it and also now in the business of putting it together.
Yeah.
What comes easy to you that other people might find difficult to do? The unfair advantage, as Robert Kiyosaki calls it.
I can really look at a deal and see if it's a deal or not. And sometimes that upsets people because I'll tell them to walk away from something and they have an emotional attachment to it. I don't. A
Hmm.
deal is a deal, right? And for me, if the numbers are not there and they're not telling the story, I have no problem detaching myself from that property and moving on to the next.
Sounds like you should be a hard money lender. They have no problem cutting the deals down. Nope, this
Yeah.
isn't the deal. I'm not lending on it. Yeah, you should just sit around in that desk and tell people it's not a deal because a lot of people do get excited and fall in love with it a little bit. And I remember my mentor right way back in the day says, never fall in love with a house, just a house. As little as you can go there, as little as you can care about it is best because at some point you may have to, cut it out, cut it off, sell it for less, you know, not love it in a way that it's a business transaction. And I remember we put together this sheet to analyze properties when we were helping other people do that. They'd be like, "Oh, how do you guys analyze properties?" The last sheet is lender hesitation. If your lenders are telling you no, you're not better than the curve. Like they didn't become lenders because they don't know what they're doing. They
Correct.
become lenders because they made money doing this. So you should listen to the numbers. You should listen to what they say. So if you've got the knack, I mean,
Well,
that's the advantage, right?
right. And it's important for me, being I am working a corporate job and I do volunteer work on the side, and I am committed to those things as well, is that I'm very strategic about the deals that I take down, and they have to cash flow in a good,
Mhm.
positive way. So, because of that, I will take on less deals because people will get that emotional excitement and attachment to it, and I don't have it. I have to see the numbers work.
Yeah. I always say it's not about the deals you do, it's the ones you don't.
Exactly.
So tell me about the future. What does the next 12 months look like? What are the goals, the aspirations for your real estate business?
Yeah, I'm working on taking down the next, I would say multifamily, but I would say either a resort or an RV park. Right now, I'm scoping out some cabins. It's about 9 cabins. I won't say the location, but that's really fun for me. Like the looking at something like that where it's a destination for people to go, and then we can make it into a true resort and revive it and bring the area back to life from a travel standpoint. So that's one thing that I'm looking at. So if I can get this 9 cabins under contract, I would like to take down an RV park this year too. So it'd be those two big
It's like an
projects.
Airbnb type of thing.
Airbnb. This one would be Airbnb, which I know people are going, is that market safe or not? But I think if you do it right, you can make some profits there.
I think it's probably safe in its truest form, which is
Correct.
vacation rentals. But
Vacation
if you're
rentals.
trying to rent out like condos in major cities, like there's a housing crisis and you're at war with a housing crisis. So
Yes.
don't expect it to be easy, but I don't think you're gonna have any trouble renting out cottages, your cabins out by a lake. Like that's the whole
Exactly.
reason, that's the whole pitch. That's the only thing
Exactly.
I've really ever used it for, except maybe a short-term stay in some like bunkhouse in someone's backyard. But
And you can find a lot more of these properties where they're commercial zoned, so they don't get impacted by any of the Airbnb laws that are going to change on the residentials, right?
mhm.
And we're seeing that in quite a few areas that I've invested in where the residential market is putting those restrictions on because the housing market is short and they do need these properties to go back to true homeowners.
Yeah, or yeah, home
Mhm.
occupiers, let's say. It's just gonna be a rental. It'll just turn
Yes.
back to
Home
like long-term
occupiers,
rent.
long-term rental. Yeah.
So the capital is a challenge right now, as far as raising it. We were talking a little bit before the show. What would you say the biggest obstacle in that whole thing is or has been for you guys so far?
It's finding the time to build those relationships with everything else going on. And that's really what this is. Once you get into the capital game, it's about making sure people know who you are, know what your vision is, know what you've been doing along the way.
Hmm.
So for me, it's about how do I make sure that I have a presence in my real estate communities so they are aware of me and I'm not just knocking on the door. So you have to build those up before you're ready to invest.
So what sort of things are you doing to, well, let's start with the existing people. So what's one of your strategies to raise money from your existing connections?
Yeah, so transaction coordination leans into it really nicely because part of the transaction coordination that we get exposure to is gator lending, right? Which is
Hmm. Yeah.
transactional lending for people that don't know the gator term, which is short-term lending opportunities. So we're getting connected all the time to people who have pools of money that they need to distribute and allocate. So that's one method that's been working well for smaller amounts. And
Hmm.
then the other thing that I've been doing is in the group that I'm part of is posting more value add social media content in that group. So the
Hmm.
big players know who I am, and then making sure I'm joining phone calls or any regional meetups to connect to the community.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
So, let's say you get some of those people falling into the social media feeds or the different networking events and you get them into your list. What have you found to be most effective to keep in touch with these investor prospects once you have the
Mhm.
initial connection?
It's about helping them solve their problems. So if they're looking and they want to invest their money into other projects, how do we make those opportunities available to them?
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, there's been a couple instances where we have somebody that we work with regularly that needs funding for his transactions. So we'll often refer them in on a good return where they can make a profit in a short turn, and that keeps them engaged with us and shows our quality of work.
So are you guys your a find the deal and then the money type of group, or do you prefer to have your capital lined up and then go to the marketplace?
I would prefer to have it lined up. Right now, we're a find the money for the deal. So,
Mm.
um, which is where we're transitioning, right? So we're going from baby investors, I would say, to more mature investors, where once we have the capital lined up, it just makes it easier to take down the deals.
Hmm. Hmm. So with the pitch deck, tell me a little bit more. Like, are you more focused on the deal, or have you started leaning more towards the company and the group itself?
It's a little bit of both. So my pitch deck that I put together this week, I want people to buy into who we are and what we do and show the quality of work. So it's a little bit of here's our portfolio, here's what we can do, here's our experience, so they can become comfortable with who we are. And
Hmm.
then it would be here's the potential of the property. So here's the facts about where it is now. Here's where we can bring it. Here's the market analysis that proves that we can bring it to this level. And then the finances that go along in with that.
Yeah, the pitch deck can be a little bit tricky to maintain and update, and those meetings can be a little nerve-wracking in it themselves. So having a great pitch deck does certainly make things a little bit easier to fall back on. You're like, next slide. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So a good solid pitch deck. So pitch decks aside and connecting with people, ultimately it's the like no trust game. where people have to first like you, then they get to know you, and then eventually they fall down into the category of the trust in you based on some education and things like that. So what are you doing for each of those things?
Well, again, it's about solving problems for them. So anybody that comes to us when they have capital to invest, or whether they're even just learning how to do real estate, we have no qualms. Me and my partner will set up time with them. We'll talk to them about what's worked with us, what hasn't. We'll give them insights to how they can navigate any problems that they're going through. And then it's once we prove that those methods work, so if they take our advice, then it automatically builds trust. And we're starting to get to that point where some people are now falling into our space and saying, we'll only work with you in this space because we know you're going to take care of us. And examples of that, if I go more specific, was like looking at a contract review or a deal that's going under, and helping somebody who needs to have that money lined up and saying, did you know if you wrote it this way or if you approached it this way, you would save $10,000, right? And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait, I didn't understand what was going on here, or that aspect. So it just gives them a different view to look at how they're navigating the deals to make it beneficial for everybody on the transaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like that education kind of component, you find really does build that trust that gets the deal done.
It does. And showing them you know what you're talking about. They have to go through and learn things as well. So as if you can demonstrate that you know how to manage the deals, how to talk through the deals, how to view the marketplace, that's what really builds the trust in these relationships.
Nice, nice. So, you know, we could probably, keep going and really dive into it, but I think it'd probably be best if people reached out to you directly and found out a little bit more about your business. So, if people want to find out more and connect with you, what should they do?
Instagram is probably the easiest way. So at Illumination Properties, like a lighthouse. Yes, we illuminate. And then if you want to find me directly, it's Ms. Erika Wald on the Insta.
There you go. There you go. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by and letting people know a little bit about your journey. And um, yeah, it's just getting started as you mature into the capital raising, the next level of capital raising. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
No problem. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.